hit the rewind. Y'all ready to release all illusion?
Yes.
That's the part. That's what we're going to be on tonight. So if you got the book, that's what we're going to be. Releasing all illusion. I'd like to invite everybody to tell yourself that tonight you're willing to listen to maybe some way out concepts that you may or may not believe. I want you to make it okay for us to hear something that we might not necessarily be thinking or believing. How would you like to hear some new thoughts? Is that cool? Let me give you an example. It says the way of transformation then is not the gaining of power. If you want to transform, it's not about gaining more power. If you want to transform or change, it's not about gaining more power. It is the release of all illusion. So if you want to transform, he says you have to be willing to let all your false ideas go. Because that's what an illusion is. It's a false idea. So he says, okay, I thought it was about gaining power. And then he's telling us that it's really about releasing all your false ideas. Then he says, it is the willingness to release the grip that you have had upon the shadows that your mind has made up. You have to be willing to release the grip that you have upon the doubts that your mind has made up. We have to be willing to release the grip that we have on the doubts that we made up. Everybody with that? It's like each and every one of us have doubts, right? And he's saying, well, if you want to transform, you have to be willing to release your grip on your shadows. Okay? Then it says that they are shadows that you have made up as a substitute for the truth of your only reality. The process of the way of transformation is that process in which you begin to use the mind quite deliberately in a different way. So that means that if I'm ready to transform, it means I have to be willing to deliberately use my mind in a new way. Deliberately. I have to deliberately want to use my mind correctly. It says you have to deliberately want to be sane. You did that deliberately. Yeah. That's what we're being told. If you want to change, you have to deliberately want to think and use your mind in a totally different way. So what I want to do is like go through about 10 minutes or so and then throw it open for questions and some communication, but then do it some more rather than answer questions during, because I want to present a block of information before we do our best to destroy the meaning of all of it. All right, so we'll have our 5 minutes destruction of the meaning of all of it session. That's what we ask questions.
Right. What page are you on?
On page 275. I love how the Course in Miracles says, you analyze things and you break it so that you can break it down and separate it out so that you don't understand it. It's the guarantee that you won't understand it because you've shattered it into little pieces and now you're trying to get an understanding from little pieces. Like if you had a puzzle and someone just threw it on the floor, all those little pieces wouldn't be understandable. It wouldn't be until you had the whole thing that you could see what it was. So what's happening right now is we're being given the whole truth. And then there's a part of the mind that wants to break it down into little pieces so that we don't understand it. It's so we can keep the illusion going. But we've changed our minds. See, we're saying I deliberately want to use my mind in a new way. I want to release all my false ideas. And most of all, I want to release the grip that I have on my doubts. He says, because your doubts are the substitutes that you make for love. Wow. You know, that those are the shadows. And that those are the shadows that we use in place of the reality of love. So I could be experiencing love, but right now I'm substituting my doubts and my fears. He says, to some of you who have studied my Course in Miracles, that too is an expression or a form of the way of transformation, since all transformation inevitably requires correction of how the mind is used. Whew. I love that. The way of transformation requires the correction of how I use my mind. If I want to transform, I have to correct the way that I use my mind. He says, so that what the mind sees is different than the ego's world. So I have to use my mind in a new way so that I can see a world that's different from something that's frightening. We're being told, if you want to see a world that's not frightening, that frightens you, we have to be willing to begin to use our mind quite deliberately in a different way and correct the way that we've been using our minds. Is that pretty straightforward? I think it is too. He says, when the mind is corrected, the use of the body that most serves love also naturally follows. So how can I tell when my mind is corrected? Because I'm going to do the thing with my body that most expresses love. I'm going to start using my body for the service of love. I want love to use my body to love. I want love to come through this body. And I want love to come through this body to you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You would have thought I had cussed everybody out. Everybody was so damn thrilled to hear that. He was like dead silent. You were supposed to say, and I want to use my body to love you too. Oh, it's really funny, isn't it? That's great. That's great. Then it says you want to use when your mind is corrected, the use of the body that most serves love also naturally follows. The use of what you have created in error, which is the body, the personality structures, the emotional matrix, and the beliefs, all of that makes up what you call yourself. All of these things are given over to be used differently. So when your mind is corrected, you're going to give your body over, you're going to give your personality over, you're going to give your emotions over, you're going to give your beliefs over, and you're going to say, I want the universe, God, spirit, love, to use my body, my mind, my personality, every single part of me. I want it to be used for love, and I want it to be used for happiness, and I want it to be used for abundance. When your mind is corrected, you'll take everything about yourself and give it up. Therefore, the deeper you come to understand, to know, and to feel the depth of the self that you have constructed in your attempt to conform to an insane world. The Course says we are looking at the self we constructed in our attempt to conform to an insane world.
Real.
Yeah, your personality, what you think of as you, we're being told that that's just a self that you constructed in your attempt to conform to this insane world. So all of us are looking at the personalities that we made since we were children that would allow us to conform to this friggin' insane world that we're in.
Oh, that's just silly.
Wow.
Isn't that deep when someone just said, I've diligently, deliberately I've been using every part of me to try to conform to insanity. And the fact that I didn't want to conform to the insanity of the world, I was accused of being weird. You know what I mean? From the time I was a kid, I was like, am I the only one that thinks this the craziest shit I never seen in my life? Am I the only one that, when you were young, any of y'all when y'all were kids were like going, what the hell? And you could not believe that, other folk didn't just see, you know what I'm saying, that all we had to do was love each other. I remember thinking that easily, wait a minute, but we love each other, we feed each other, how's everybody be eating? It was like I couldn't figure out why the only answer I would never hear is love. Like you turn on the news now and there's a great president, a senator or somebody talking, they don't ever say stuff like, we really just need to love each other and recognize that we're all, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's the last solution that that the leaders come up with is love. And I'm not waiting for them anymore. This year, I'm not waiting for nobody else to do this stuff. On the way over here, I said, I'm going to pretend this is true. I said, I'm gonna pretend that the Course in Miracles and the Way of Love. I said, that's the game I'm gonna play in 2014. I'm gonna pretend it's true.
I love that.
And then I'm gonna see what happens if I just pretend it's true. You know, and so then I was wondering, like, you know, who's gonna show up tonight? If anybody's gonna show up tonight, because a lot of times when I leave town and when I come back is when there's very few people that return. It's like they had a chance to escape, and they did. We got 2 weeks. Let's never come back. That's what's funny, because every time I go somewhere, people always say to me, I know they're gonna really be missing you, and you can't wait for you to come back. And it just cracks me up. I know, but it's like it can be like a lot of people before I leave. You see what I'm saying? And it's funny because it's just the opposite. It's like when I come back, I've changed, so my reality shifts, and then you see who's drawn to you in terms of who you are now, and then everybody that's on another wavelength and they're doing what they need to do. And then the Holy Spirit said to me, also, everybody that comes to you and everybody else, he said they're sent. That is not your charisma. That's just something to satisfy your ego. For you to think it was your personality, your talent, who you are that's attracting things. That's just part of the Holy Spirit, what you call that, placating our ego. It's not any of that that's created. He said it's not any of that that's creating people coming into your life or what's happening in your life. They're being sent by me, your higher self. Oh, wow. So whoever comes, then it said, whoever comes tonight, I want you to know, and I want you to look at them. This is what the voice was talking over here, that they are the most important people in your life right now. And the best that can ever happen to you can happen through those people. As a matter of fact, they're more important than your mama, your daddy, your child. And why? Because they're going to be the ones that's in front of your face. And whoever is in front of your face is the person that's the most important person in your life in that moment, and everything good that can come to you is going to be able to come to you through them because they're the ones that's there. And I was like, that's deep. Isn't that deep? I know you think it's going to come to the people that's not there, but you want to rethink that. You know, that it's going to come to you through the people that's not there. You know, I can't get no loving from my old girlfriend. Right? She ain't gonna give me no kiss. Matter of fact, she might have me arrested if I try.
If you just got out of the way, the right person would come forward.
They can't wait to get to you. They're trying to get to you, but they can't get to you because they got to try to get past all those past people you won't let go of. And the imaginary ones that you won't. So the real person, like, damn, I'll be glad when I get my chance. Because they in love with ghosts. They love ghosts. What you mean? Something that don't exist. The past or the future person. That's a ghost. That's just a ghost. I don't want no more ghost love. I don't. Do you?
No.
Aren't you tired? Have you reached your limit? Me too. Me too. You know, so you ever just get tired of yourself?
All the time.
I'd be like, if I could get away from you. You know, I get up in the morning at a time and look at myself and go, and you here again? You are the ultimate stalker. Time I look up, yeah, you are. You know.
Oh, so you must have sent you.
Hmm?
You must have sent you.
Yes, I did. I did. No doubt about it. No doubt. And that's where the voice of God talks to me now. You know, it's just runs a conversation down. You know, and so I noticed that if you look at it that way, you feel better. Like I would feel better if I looked at it like the people in my life right now were the most important people, that all the gifts that God could give me can only come through you because you're the ones that's here. It might make me be more present. which is the problem anyway, is that we're not present with each other. Because most of the time, instead of really listening to what a person's saying to me, I'm trying to come up with the next thing I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about what I'm going to say back more than I'm actually listening to what the person is saying. So what we want to do, I want to ask you if you're willing to allow your body and all your human characteristics to be used by infinite love.
Yes.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Including your body?
Yes.
Okay. Then it goes on, and then it says, as a matter of fact, I'll stop right here and throw it open for questions, comments, ahas, because he kind of goes into a little bit of a different thing, because that was a lot.
I've had this experience after my birthday. I talked to a couple people and I said, okay, we can hang out today. And we're texting and whatever. And then they just stopped texting me. They didn't answer back or anything. It's like, so I guess we're not hanging out. So definitely they weren't supposed to be in my life. And I try to hook up with somebody else. Just when we talk, we say, we'll meet up. And then they totally stood me up. I was like, okay, so maybe not you. And it's just been like that. So there's one person in my life who's there, so I just say, okay, I have to think. So it's really good that you said that, because this is the person that's supposed to be in my life.
absolutely. And then what'll happen is, and this is really deep, is what'll start happening is you'll start doing what's called deeper listening. And so, because if I know that everything good that could ever come to me right now is going to come through you, you better be damn sure I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm paying attention to what's going on between us, which is going to create for both of us an urge to communicate with each other at a deeper level, because we'll feel ourselves being present with each other. And when you have somebody who's present with you, you go to a deeper level with them, especially when you feel they're present. So that person, and then thank God the other people didn't show up. Yeah. That's the other thing. Not only, thank God they stood you up.
Yeah.
See? All right, so I just want to... You don't know how many lifetimes I worked on that. Notice that came in just right.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
yes.
what I'm talking about. Anybody else? Any thought? I know. I'm how you feel, Emily.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, and you're talking about the texting is what made me think of it. So, if it's the people that are in front of you, and I get that, and it's like, that totally makes sense to me, and it's like lots of ahas. But, so you've got somebody that's not present with you, and they keep texting you, and the texting isn't real nice, and even if you don't answer them, it's like, that's where I get hung up. It's like, how do I respond to those people? Or they show up and they're not really kind or nice, and it's like, okay, there's a message here, whatever, but at what point, how do you decipher, all right, that's enough, that's abusive, that's whatever, you need to get out of my face?
After you feel like that you have first asked your higher self how you should respond to them in that moment, that's the number one. Is that one thing that the Course says, you really can't tell a person the correct behavior for every situation, because the behavior might have to change depending on the situation. But what we have to always have is the right perception in every situation. So number one, I need to ask the Holy Spirit, how should I deal with this? Because I want to know the right way to deal with it. And what my main lesson is to learn how to start asking guidance. That's the number one thing, see? And then the next thing is you follow whatever that is as peacefully as you possibly can. Like, which would be basically saying, do what gives you the most peace in that situation without attack. And it might be for you to say, hey, don't say that to me anymore. Because it doesn't matter what the behavior is, it matters what your purpose is and what you're saying. So it's more important to be clear what would be your purpose in telling that person to leave you alone. What would be your purpose in saying, don't talk to me anymore? Because that's what's really determining the meaning of the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it isn't like, it's like sometimes to get somebody's attention, you might have to say, hey! But you could be saying it totally from a space of, I want peace, I want love, and I want joy between us. But that's what it took for me to get your attention. So people feel guilty when they're not feeling really innocent about their purpose. If you thought your purpose was right, almost no matter what you did, you wouldn't feel guilty about it. So the guilt is really coming from you not being clear about what your purpose is, not what you're physically doing. Because he says everything that in the world is neutral, and that the body is neutral. Everything here is neutral, but it says we don't have any neutral thoughts about any of it. And so we need to realize that we're the one that's giving it the meaning, right? So for me personally, I feel compelled to say when I'm around people like that and I've communicated that I'd love to have peace, but this isn't going to work for me and they still continue to do it, then I feel really, really innocent about choosing out of their experience.
Like not responding. I mean, I would stop engaging.
Well, I would tell them. I would literally say, like, I don't care to be corrected every time I say something. You know, sometimes I just want to express what I'm feeling. That's not asking for anybody to correct me, fix me, tell me another way to look at it or anything like that. I just want to say how I'm feeling in the moment. And a lot of times when you're around a lot of people who are parts of you who are on the personal growth path, in the spiritual path, they feel like it's their job to constantly correct the hell out of everybody around them and give them a taste of their wisdom and their knowledge because they're trying to learn it themselves. And whatever you're trying to learn is what you're always trying to convince somebody else about. So I can always tell what it is the person is really trying to teach themselves by what it is they keep on trying to correct. They feel such a need to correct me and tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll say that, you know, if you keep correcting me, then I'm going to stop communicating with you. And then they get mad. They do this a trip, you know, it's like, well, you know, and that's fine because I also have to learn how to make it okay for people to have whatever reaction that they need to have to whatever I say. Because my being concerned about how other people react is what keeps me from being open and honest and letting people know how I'm really feeling, and it keeps me from being authentic. Does that make sense? So I know that on the spiritual path, I have to get to the point that I'm willing to say my truth regardless of what the other person's reaction to it will be. That's like this bridge you have to cross at some point on the spiritual path where you make it okay for people not to react the way that you would like them to react, but you still hold true to your purpose because you really only saying it because you want to join. Like when I told that person, if you keep correcting me, I'm not going to want to talk to you, I was really giving them the information on how they could continue to communicate with me. So if their desire to communicate was more important than their desire to correct, then they wouldn't have felt defensive about not correcting me anymore. So they obviously had some need to correct that was greater than their need to communicate. And that's what happens in relationships a lot of times. Each person's desire to be right is greater than their desire to connect with each other and to heal with each other.
So then is it more important to speak your truth regardless of the response instead of just not saying anything?
Well, you would check in with yourself from moment to moment. Because sometimes your inner self will strictly tell you, don't you say anything, just breathe. Okay, and then sometimes it'll tell you need, and you'll know which one it is because you'll almost feel compelled to do it, and you'll be willing to take responsibility for what happens.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know, it's like, you know, at some situations you go, okay, I'm just going to have to tell it like it is, and I'm going to have to really be responsible for, you know, what happens, but I have to say this. And that was sort of like the way it was when I was telling you I wanted to be used for love for everybody in this room. You know, it was the same thing. I had to like, okay, I'm going to say that even though I don't know how anybody's going to react to that. And it was great to see that what it generated was no reaction. So I didn't have even a reaction to deal with. There wasn't one. That was cool. You know? But that didn't mean it wasn't appreciated. See, and that's what you have to watch with the ego, because you look at the outer appearance, and then you think that you know what the person is thinking, but you could have been responding in a beautiful way, right? Yeah. But the Course teaches that every time you feel something and you don't express it, then you forget you ever felt it.
That's true.
So the reason why people don't remember the happy times as much as they do the painful times is because people usually express their anger and their pain and disappointment and be quiet when it comes to expressing their love and admiration and appreciation. You know what I'm saying? People let you know they pissed off at you about something a lot faster than they look at you in the face and say, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're in my life. See, by me expressing that, I remember that, right? But we don't do that, right? But then, I'm mad at you. Why didn't you do such and such a thing? And notice I expressed that emotion, so to look like my whole relationship with you was just a lot of conflict because we didn't express the love we had for each other, so we forgot we even had it. And then you look back and think the relationship was crappy all the way through. Because you just forgot the happy times because we didn't express it. So now in my relationships, I try to, as much as I possibly can, tell the person how much I love them or appreciate them or value them and how significant they are to me. And I mean out of my mouth. You know, I appreciate you. You are wonderful. And people who don't love themselves yet, they run away from me. They treat me like I'm kryptonite. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be nowhere around me, you know. And I didn't realize what a blessing that was. That was a total blessing. You mean somebody who doesn't know what love is and don't know how to respond to it and would attack me, decided to leave me? That was the most loving thing they could have possibly done, because I know people who used to stick around. You know?
Really?
Yeah, stick around and try to make me miserable. But this person, they decided they weren't going to stick around. They got up. So they were being loving. Isn't that great? So this is what's telling. So this is us using our body for love. We're using our bodies for truth. We're using our personality for truth right now. We're using all our senses for the truth right now. This is a living example of what we just said we want to do 30 minutes ago. I want you to use my body for love. I want you to use my body for truth, use myself. And that's what we're doing. We're literally doing it right now. Exactly what we said. How many of y'all feel like if you just can connect with that certain someone, everything will be all right?
As long as this is that someone.
So none of you all believe that a relationship right now wouldn't be a solution to your desire for happiness.
Well, I think I know better than that.
Not to say that, like, at some moments, like, when, like, especially when you're falling in love with someone, don't get me wrong, then everything, like, for those, whatever, falling in love period, like, everything is perfect because you're falling in love, but that's different than thinking it's a cure to what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. I'm just checking in to see how many of you all think having a relationship with somebody would be the cure. That if that happened, you know your life, everything was right. You'd be happy if you just had that person to, you know what I'm saying, rock climb with. You ever see me rock climbing? Anything that looks like me rock climbing, shoot it. It's an alien from the planet Zorkon. I'm trying to tell you. That person moved out here telling me I would meet a woman, you know, she goes, you want to go hiking? It's like, wow, that's awesome, man. But that never occurred to me to hike. Are we gonna walk for fun up rocks and trails? Wow. My friends would say, they went on vacation. I said, what you do on your vacation? They said, I climbed 2 14ers. On your vacation? See, that's just a difference in culture. You see what I'm saying? I'm not knocking it, but I just came from a different culture. You know, like black folk is like, we chilling with some barbecue. Some music, you know what I'm saying? I came out here, all my white brothers and sisters, 14ers. Then we gonna hike, and then rock climb, then river raft. And don't forget, we gonna top it all with what? A little snowboard. I thought it was great. I love the diversity of things. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that we are God pretending that we're a lot of different things, and that if we communicated with each other, we could give each other such interesting stories. You know what I'm saying? What is it like being a woman? What is it like being a woman who thinks she's white, or a woman that thinks she's Asian or black, or you know what I'm saying? It's like what is it? What is Jewish? Growing up Jewish? What is that? What's that like? What that mean? You see what I'm saying? But we kind of run away from it. Like people tell me, you know, I never noticed you were black. You know, and I say, are you blind?
That's why I like documentaries.
I never noticed you were a man.
Yeah, right. That's the problem. I wish you would. That's the thing about this spiritual stuff, man. When you're a man and you start doing spiritual stuff, you're never supposed to be horny.
Really?
No,
I don't know.
People believe that spiritual teachers, ministers, and stuff like that supposed to be almost like have no interest in the body and sex and sexuality. They give you unrealistic expectations about what your behavior should be like. Somebody walked in on me with an orgy and a joint in my hand. It wouldn't fit the idea of a minister. I believe I would be judged. Don't you think I'd be judged?
Or joined.
But I would call that my congregation. Amen. You know, I used to have the kind of classes that I do a workshop and somebody would throw a pair of panties at me. Just like Tom Jones. I'd be like teaching some. Now that's a fun class. You know. But then I felt really guilty at some point and destroyed the whole thing. That happens. It was better than I thought I could handle, so I sabotaged it all. And the Holy Spirit still stuck with me. Still took care of me. Everything. I've had some interesting experiences in 33 years of teaching. I'm telling you. It's a trip. Anybody you can think of is out there. I thought I passed it along. They're out there. Anybody you can think of, your greatest fantasy, whatever, they're out there. The Course says that you don't even think about them until they're already manifested. You know what I'm saying? It says every time you say what you don't want, you put it out in the world because you project it away from you. Mm-hmm. So that's why the world seems to be made up of things that we don't want, because we don't realize that every time I say I don't want something, I'm projecting it away from me. He says out into the world. So it would be much better to look at it like what you want is already out there, and you just want the blocks removed to you or getting to it and it getting to you, than to look at it as if you're going after something that's not there, but you got to put it there. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm going out there to get my wealth, and I'm going out there to get my soulmate. It'd be much better to go, my soulmate's already out there, let every block that keeps us from doing. When I say soulmate, that can change from moment to moment. Like right now, this is a room full of my soulmates. We are all here to forgive each other for things we don't even remember doing to each other. And that's why we can forgive it. Because if we knew, we'd be having a problem right about now. So the Course in Miracles says you're always attracted to your past grievances, but you think you're being attracted to the person you love. But you're really being attracted to the person that's going to give you an opportunity to learn how to forgive. Mm. And that's why you're attracted to them. Wow. Ain't that deep?
Yeah.
Mm. That's deep. But that must be true, because the people that I end up having to forgive usually be those people. The ones that were the most special to me. Every single time. So it must be true. Now I'm glad I have the tools to use to be able to do it, so that I can heal that experience and not have to keep going through that over and over and over again. I just want to get it down now. So let's see what this is saying.
Earl,
Yeah.
listening to you, I keep having hearing a statement from the Course: nothing outside of me must change in order for me to be happy.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Nothing outside of me needs to change in order for me to be happy. And if I ask for it, I can experience happiness through everything, even the things that seem like they're outside of me. as long as I realize they're not outside of me. Like, in other words, if I look at you all and I go, you're not really outside of me, you're really inside of me, then when I look out, I'm really looking in. It's almost like if I want to see what's going on inside myself, if I look at you, that's what it is. Then what I used to think of as I was looking out, I'm really looking in. See what I'm saying? So if I really want to know what I'm feeling, all I have to do is look around me. Because now I'm looking in what I thought I was looking out. It's deep, ain't it? That's some good stuff, wasn't it? You know. So you're inside my mind, I'm inside your mind. None of us are outside of you. Think about that. None of us are outside of you. We're all inside your mind. So who's inside whose mind? Am I in your mind? Or are you in mine? So we must be inside the same mind. So that means there's just one mind and we are in it. Wow. When you think stuff like that, you can feel your connection.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you can feel the separation, you know. And the Course says that when that happens, that your ego, which is your old self, what it will do is try to create an appetite in that moment to draw your attention to your body. So every time you begin to drop the separation and feel your oneness, you're going to have some type of tremendous body appetite. That's why studying the spiritual truth can be the best thing you ever did for your sex life. Because your ego will try to draw your attention to the pleasures of your body more than ever before to convince you that you are a body and separate. So, or you will be hungry and you just want to eat something so bad, or you will feel too hot, or you feel too cold, or your body feel uncomfortable, or he said that what will happen when your ego feels threatened is it will try to draw your attention to your body through creating what it calls a body appetite. Isn't that interesting? But it's so true though.
I've experienced that.
Yeah. It's like as soon as we start to really join, that's why when you really connect with somebody, especially in a relationship, it'll look like right after that you have an argument or a fight. Because the Course in Miracles says it's because you're trying to rebuild your separate self again. Because y'all joined and you lost your sense of separateness. So now through an argument or a fight or a contraction or an attack, then you go back into your own separate sense of self. So arguments are a way of preserving the ego. Preserving the separation. Because you joined. You were beginning to merge. Lose your sense of boundaries. Deep. Have you noticed that pattern though? Right after the joy, then comes the pain, right? Because I lost my sense of self. We were really connected, scared the hell out of both of us. And so we're being prepared to handle more love. Wow. We're being prepared to handle more love.
Amen.
So that we'll let it in and don't fight it. We'll receive it. I'm excited about that. Woo! All right. Yeah, we pretty much there. Hey, do we still have any meaning or have we destroyed it all? How we doing? How's everybody feeling? You good? All right. He says, to use a simple example, a painter begins to paint devotional paintings out of her love and acceptance of grace. Or a speaker is brought into alignment with love, and that love creates a context in which what is spoken differently with a different purpose and a different intent, and therefore to a much different audience. I just got through saying that. That's what I feel. I feel like I want to bring myself more in alignment with love, so that whatever I speak to you all is spoken differently, with a different purpose, with a different intent, and so to much different an audience. Or one who works with the hands in the fields begins to work for a different purpose, begins to be informed in ways to use the skills and gifts that one has developed, perhaps to feed the hungry and the needy. So we're being told that when your mind is corrected, no matter what you're doing, you'll be taught a way to do it that would allow love to be expressed through it, through whatever you're doing already. That would be cool. and then you will continue to expand into something that's even better and something that's even greater. That would be great, though. If I could allow healing and happiness and love and joy to come through exactly what's happening in my life right now, that would be an excellent place to start. Like where I am. Yeah. He says the only reason why we are not healed immediately is because of a belief that there needs to be some time before our happiness happens. In other words, we believe in happiness in the future. And he says believing in happiness in the future creates a gap between happiness and you. Here I am, happiness is going to come 6 months from now, but what the hell are we going to do with that space? He says, well, that's where unhappiness hangs out. So when I say I'm going to be happy when I can get with this person, I've created a gap. So I don't think any of you deserve happiness in the future. I wish you no future happiness. Because I care about you. I don't want the gap. I want you to have it now.
Okay.
Was that cool?
Thank you.
That's right.
You want you to have it too.
You want me? You must really want it. I can tell you really want it because you're giving it back to me. I hear you. Show off. I love it. The forms of expression change to be more conformed with which voice is running the show. I say it again. The forms of expression change to be more conformed with which voice is running the show. In other words, you're going to start expressing yourself more in line with the voice you listen to, which is what we're already doing anyway. He says, but it's that we're going to start expressing ourselves in a way that conforms more to loving ourselves. I like that too. When the ego was running the show, or your ego thought it was running the show, the personality, the emotions, and the body were used to serve the very survival of your ego. So up to this point, we've been using every part of ourselves to try to preserve our fear. He says the ego is just a part of us that's afraid or that feels separate. And so up to this point, he's saying, until you choose for love, you actually are using all of your abilities and skills in your body to frighten yourself and to keep yourself worried and upset about something. Everybody relate to that one? I remember just consciously staying upset about something all the time. And I would just think about something to upset me all the time. Right before I came here. I guess y'all thought that was years ago, Earl. No, 6:30. That's a part of me. I don't know about you, but I have a voice in my mind that never stops trying to make me doubt and fear. And the only thing that all this studying is doing is helping me see it differently, not listen to what it says as much, and not to follow its guidance as much as I possibly can. But the ego is if the ego is being the ego, and that's what it's going to be, just accept that that's a part of you that just don't want the truth right now. And so we don't have to worry about that. It's there. It's a part of me that doesn't want to forgive. It's a part of me that wants to be afraid. It's a part of me that likes to get angry. It's there. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm not trying to change it anymore. I'm not trying to fix it anymore. He says what you're doing is just turning your attention to the thoughts you do want to use and that you do want to manifest, which is different from spending all your time beating yourself up about your ego. Because he says the ego wants that. That makes it real. The party that hates you wants you to be trying to figure it out. That's giving it more reality. You see? So I know there's a crazy Earl. I've seen him. There are other people that have seen him too. In some places he might be on posters. Oh God. Anyway. Oh man, when I went to church, it's like everything they said, everything I like to do was a sin. Did y'all have that problem too?
Yeah.
It's like every time, it's like, damn, everything they say is a sin is my favorite pastime. So I know I needed another spiritual path than the one I was hearing. Because they was talking about heaven and they was talking about harps. And I said, I don't want to play no damn harp. And I wanted to go to hell because I knew that's where all my buddies was going to be. What am I going to do in heaven? So I guess how I got turned off by religion when I was growing up. First, just too many limitations and restrictions around anything that had anything to do with joy. I just couldn't handle it. And it just didn't feel right in my soul. It just didn't feel right. It's so good to know that you all had a lot of those same feelings, that I'm not by myself in that. And I believe there are millions of us. I really do. I believe there are more people that are doing what we're doing than we can imagine right now. And it's going to be a trip when that scale tips. Because you don't know who's going to be that last thing that makes it go ploop in the other direction. You know, so while you're dropping something in it, right, it looks like nothing's happening. Oh my God, you know. And so yesterday is what I'm studying. I read this and I'm studying that and I'm coming to my classes and I'm trying to be more loving and I'm trying to forgive and it don't look like nothing happening and I've been going to that class and it should be getting better by now, but I'm and so, but I'm reading it, but I'm studying and I'm meditating and I'm reading and I'm studying and I'm applying, and so we don't know that we're about to tip the scale. But until it's actually tipped, it don't look like nothing's changed. And then all of a sudden you accept the truth one day. You could be at King Supers, you know what I'm saying, right there in the produce department. And you could tell yourself the truth and it goes bloop. And all of a sudden your mind is now in its right position and you're seeing things correctly. Right. And then you see a whole new world in front of you. And it could be that simple. He says it's as simple as opening your eyes after you've been asleep in the morning. That's the way enlightenment is. It's that natural because you just tipped the scale, right? So all of us coming together, that's putting a whole lot of stuff in there. That's what we do when we're just putting a lot of stuff in there. So we are the scale tippers. The spiritual, sacred scale tippers. That's us. And we're on the verge of tipping that scale. Closer than you can ever imagine. Okay, let's go to the next level, okay? You've already tipped the scale. You just don't realize it yet. You're already in the other world, and you don't realize it yet. You're like a person that's still hallucinating that's been rescued. And they still go, you know, the bats are gone, the bats are gone. That's us. You know, then the loving man come up and you you still think you like the old kind you used to have, you know what I'm saying? And you even realize there's a whole different kind of man in front of you now. And there's a whole different kind of woman in front of me. You know what I mean? You know, so I'm still seeing you in terms of the past. You know, so I have to remember I'm hallucinating right still. You know, prisoners starved and emaciated, been on the desert for weeks and weeks and haven't had water. They don't jump up the instant that they're rescued. It takes them a while to get their strength back. So we've been rescued, but we haven't had a chance to get our strength back yet. And that's what we're doing now. We're recuperating. But we've been rescued.
Earl?
That's relieving.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you think back to sitting in church, do you think that you're being taught how to conform to an insane world?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Through fear. Through you know, it's like, because I remember being a young boy and they'd said, you know, Jesus died for my sins. And I said, well, didn't Jesus die 2,000 years before I was born? And that, you know, that was me, my sin that caused the problem. I'm like, but that was 2,000 years before I was born. How could I be responsible? And they said, be quiet. But you question the Bible, you know. But I was inquisitive. I was that kind of kid, you know. Like I said, well, Adam and Eve were the first couple. Yeah, that was it. Everything started with Adam and Eve. I said, but they had 2 children that got married. They said, yeah, that's right. I said, well, who did they marry? If they were the first kids of the first 2 people, who did they marry? Don't question the Bible. They gonna put 2 of everything on a boat? It was like, wait a minute, get this straight. This Noah dude's gonna pick 2 of everything and put it on a boat, right? And I said, well, who gonna clean up all that poop? Don't question the Bible. So you know what I'm saying? And so that's why we are waking up. It's because we never were willing to completely conform to the insane images of the world. So I want to acknowledge y'all for being rebels. You know? Right. You know, y'all the cutest rebels I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? This is a nice rebel army. You know, so I'm proud to know you. I'm glad to know you. And you're glad to know me too.
You're just trying to get us conform now.
That's right, I'm trying to get y'all to conform.
We are you, just have us say what you want us to say.
Could I get you to do what I want you to do too? I'm signing up for some more of this true path. I'm going to God for sure.
Here comes the join the orgy.
I think you could help me grow my congregation. We get you to welcome the visitors. They just joined the church that day. They was like, we joining this church. I'm telling you. Let me think of some body appetite quick. So I can recreate my separation again and keep my identity going as Earl Purdy. Earl Purdy. God. That's his voice told me on the way over here. You know you in your last days, don't you? Thanks.
You won't be able to snowboard much longer.
That's right. Think all the snowboarding you'll never do.
That's so funny. I heard that on the way here too. I'm like,
yeah, and I just had a birthday, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, looking at my age, and it was like my ego like, you know. You better have some good times now.
I had the other day too, and I'm 26.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Okay.
and the Course says that there's actually a part of us that wants to die. And it tries to convince us that that's what we deserve. And not only that, he says the most challenging part is it teaches us that our happiness is after our death. Which will make you really want your death even more. Because he says people think that dying is going to solve the problem. And then he says that death is nothing but the result of you not making a decision. He says that is what death is. It's us not making up our minds that we are really going to know our lives, that we're going to live our life. But he says you won't want to live for a long time, like you won't want to live forever. You know, this book keeps talking about eternal and forever, and you notice that nobody ever really gets really excited about that. Have you ever noticed that? That when you say stuff like eternal, nobody jumps up and down. You think we would, right? It's because most people don't want to live the life they're living forever. So when you talk about forever, you know, I don't want to be owing MasterCard forever. So, which is what it looks like going to happen. They got this thing rigged now so that when you pay a bill, it's more the next month because of the interest rates. Sometimes they can arrange it so that the interest rate is greater than the minimum payment that you make. So it looks like nothing you're paying is going towards the principal. And so it's important to look at it as these companies have faith in your future earning ability. That's why you're supposed to look at credit cards and people that you owe. That these were people who had faith in your future earning ability, so that's why they gave you something ahead of time. That's what the voice said to me. I was like, damn, that's deep. But that does feel better. To think that these people have faith in my future earning ability.
Somebody does.
Yeah, and they somebody does. Right? And then they remind me that I need to be doing something about that future earning ability. You know. So anyway, this
Can I ask a question
Sure.
on the whole thing about the voice saying time is limited? Because I've been experiencing kind of that too, like this impending death is right around the corner. But I'm not afraid, like I'm actually gonna die. And I think it's a dying off of the ego.
Yeah.
I think it's a shift that's happening.
Yeah.
And so it feels like something's dying.
That's right. That's right. I feel like I have. I feel like I died since I've been gone. And that I was reborn. And so I'm curious to see what the next death is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, because then you say, well, you're going to die again.
Yeah.
You look good for a dead man.
Do I look good? I'm pretty
You're
good.
good corpse. Right?
Oh, I'm telling you.
Dead man
I'm telling
walking.
you.
Or sitting.
Well, the more you love, the better everybody look to you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you
Especially
love somebody,
yourself.
when you love somebody, you look good. They look good to you. Then when you don't love them, sometimes they can just look ugly. All of a sudden, they don't look good like they used to when you were in love with them.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you go, how did I even do
Really?
that?
Look back at those Facebook pictures and go,
I know. You sure I didn't have a sack over your head?
Somebody's been cutting out those pictures and putting somebody else's face there.
But then you love somebody, they could look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And you'd be like, oh my God.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, just gorgeous. You know. And so the older I get, the more I want people to love me.
I must really love
Do I look?
you.
You must really love me, right?
So gorgeous.
Oh, I'm telling you. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, you going to my church. I'm going to make you a deacon. That's right. They're going to put you on the board. Oh, God. Every time you laugh, you heal something. You heal, you remove a block. He says happiness is forgiveness. That's how you know you're forgiving yourself. It's how much joy you allow yourself to have. So I did some forgiving. Now I'm getting a headache.
Drink some water.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Everybody cool?
Yes.
All right, you still here?
Yep.
Let's see what he got to say. You ready?
Yep.
He says, when the ego has been displaced and the voice of love has been returned to the place of authority, careers change. Okay, so those of you who want to change a career, did you hear that? It says that when you allow the loving voice in you to be the one with the authority, your career will change. Wow. It can change. In the initial stages, as this process is occurring, this can elicit fear. Okay, so what we're being told is when you start to allow the voice for love to rule you, you may experience fear, a sense of disorientation, and a sense of self-doubt. So it used to be when we felt fear, disorientation, and self-doubt, it was because it was coming from a place of not loving ourselves. Now, when we have a sense of fear, a sense of disorientation, and a sense of self-doubt, it's just a reflection of the initial stages of beginning to make love the authority in our life. So we'll still be feeling a lot of the same emotions, but for a different reason. And so we mustn't fool ourselves to think that we're feeling fear and disorientation because we still don't love ourselves the way that we used to. Yes.
Isn't it kind of also because we are making that transition, but at the same time we're so used to feeling those things that we're addicted to it, you know? So like really trick ourselves into thinking we're feeling like I know sometimes I'll think I feel like anxious about something or disoriented or something, and then I realize like, wait, you know, like God's gonna provide it for me, the universe is gonna provide it for me, it's fine, and then like I take a step back and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
You
That's called the after image.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like if you could imagine, you know, cutting off an old time TV and then it taking a minute for the screen to fade.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, even though the TV has been cut off, the image hangs around for a few seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our ego now. And so we're being told, like you're saying, we're being told not to be fooled by the after image. So when you see some of your old habits and feelings and emotions coming up, that's just the after image of the way you used to be. That hasn't completely faded away yet, even though you're not feeding it anymore because you're loving yourself more. Okay, you with me on that? So it's important for us not to be fooled by our own after images and think that we're the way we used to be just because we still have some of the feelings that we used to have when we really didn't love ourselves. Everybody with me on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, for the very meaning and purpose of existence has changed. Okay, so your career will change when the meaning and purpose of your existence has changed. Your career can change when the meaning and purpose of existence has changed for you. So the meaning and purpose of existence for me has changed to love. And that's what I really want. So he says that's how you create the change that you want to have. So Spirit is telling us, okay, don't freak out when you still are fearful and have a sense of disorientation and doubt. All these things must be embraced. All of these things must be embraced with faith, which is indeed the substance of things unseen. In other words, love is not quite settled in perfectly yet. Love is not quite settled in perfectly yet. And the mind is still gripping somewhat the things and the ways of the world. So the fear and disorientation is happening because there is still a part of my mind that's really holding on to the world in the way that I used to be, in the way that I used to think. So that fear is coming up from me trying to still hold on to some of my old habits, some of my old thoughts, some of my old beliefs. And yet, a deeper voice is compelling the self to release old values, to release old careers, to release old relationships, to release old clothing and old furniture. Everything begins to change, and it feels as though loss is being experienced. Woo! Let me say that again. That's an important one to get now. All right. So even though we still are trying to hold on a little bit to the things of the world, there's a voice in us that's even deeper that's compelling us to what? Release it all. So you might be feeling right now a need to release your job. You may be feeling the need to let go of an old relationship. Clothes, like right now, you might be feeling the need to let go of some old clothes and some old furniture. That's how you can tell that you're beginning to hear that deeper voice beneath the old you that you thought you were. You know, I'm going through that right now. It's like some things I know I need to get rid of. But, you know, I might need that ticket stub from 1959. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? Like you be getting ready to go through stuff and it's like you never think about it, never see it, nothing. And then as soon as you pick it up, you go, oh man, I might need that paper clip. You know, sometimes I think I need to be on the Holy Hoarders. You know, like that hoarder show, I'm a holy hoarder. I hold on to old ideas, old thoughts. You know, I'm hoarding thoughts. Like people hoard, you know, physical things. You know, thoughts that I haven't used in 10 years, I won't want to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to get a haircut. You know what I'm saying? You going bald. Comb your hair. You know, old thoughts like that, they'll come up. You need to comb your hair. So, you know, so we need, so Spirit is trying to really get us to feel pretty good about whatever we're feeling in the process of transformation, instead of beating ourselves up and telling ourselves it means we're failing to achieve our goal. It's letting us know, no, that's just part of it. If you're serious about it right now, you're going to want to do a lot of releasing. You might feel some fear and some disorientation that's going to come up. That's just that old after image still trying to cling a little bit longer. That's it. Okay. Woo! Yet what is lost, oh yeah, and it says you may think you're experiencing loss because it looked like you're losing friends or things that you used to value start to fade out of your life. People change, right? So it says, yet what is lost in the world is gained in the kingdom. For what can be gained but the reawakening of the simplicity of the truth? I am God's. I belong not to the world. I and my Father or Creator are one, since I still find myself in this world. How can I dedicate this body and its attendant personality? I'm an attendant personality. This sounds kind of like you need to go to the mental hospital or something. It sounds weird to say my attendant person. This is my attendant personality. That's deep, but it's the truth. This is the personality that attends to me, and by trying to get me to conform to the insanity of the world. So he's saying, how can I dedicate this body and its attendant personality and emotions to the voice for love? He says that's the simplicity of the truth. That you should say to yourself, since I still find myself in this world, how can I dedicate this body and its personality and its emotions to the voice for love? And he says, and that becomes the sole purpose, both the soul as only purpose and the soul, S-O-U-L, as the essence of your being. The soul purpose becomes the willingness to allow love to inform each moment. Okay, great. So my only purpose now is to have the willingness to allow love to inform every moment. I want love. I am totally willing for love to inform every moment of my life for the rest of the time that I'm here. He says that becomes your only purpose. I want love to inform this moment. 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 And then he says, then love will take the form that's most needed for your happiness in that moment. So this is love taking the form that's best for us in this moment. This is as much love as we can handle right now. Is what we are experiencing right now with each other.
It's a lot.
It's right. Now, and if you're giving it, you feel like it's a lot because you're feeling it. If you're not giving it, then you're depressed because you feel like, well, there's a whole lot of love in this moment for me. And you don't realize the reason why you're not feeling any love in this moment is because you're not giving any. You think you're not feeling any love because nobody's giving it to you. He says, no, you're not feeling any love in this moment because you're not giving any. And so you say, oh man, there's so much love in here. See, that's me realizing when you said that, well, she's giving some love. And so she's feeling everybody, what she thinks is everybody's love, but she don't know nobody in the room like her. No, that's not true. Don't we love her?
We love you.
We love you. But it took a while to get this. He says the only thing that's lacking in any situation is what you haven't given. That's what the Course says. And that's deep. I know that a part of you don't like that. So here's the prayer again. So just let yourself hear it for a minute. don't you feel closer to the people in here than you did when you came in? I am God's. You are God's. You belong not to the world. You and your Creator are one. You and your Creator are one. Since you still find yourself in this world, since you still find yourself in this world, how can you dedicate your body? How can you dedicate your body and your body's attendant personality and emotions to the voice for love? That's what you ask yourself. How can I dedicate this body and this personality and these emotions to the voice for love? Okay, any questions, any thoughts about that? Any part of that?
I think it's just beautiful all the way around. I mean, for me, where I'm at in my life, I've, the friends and the people that I thought would be there, I feel shunned, but that's okay. I quit my job of almost 12 years.
So you've been doing this releasing stuff, right?
Yeah. So it just feels really good.
Feels good?
Yes, it does.
That's how you can tell it's the right decision.
Yeah.
You feel happier.
Yeah.
Surefire sign. You must be psychic.
Working on it anyway.
I know. Anybody else? That's great. Anybody else have any thoughts or feelings about anything that we just got through talking about? Because we covered a lot of deep stuff.
Lots of ahas.
What's one of them that you had? Would you care to share?
I never fit in. And I always thought there was something wrong with me. Now I realize I just didn't want to conform to the insanity of this world.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That was huge.
That's huge. And every day we're having that choice given to us over and over again. Am I going to conform to the insanity of fear? Or am I going to be, he said, informed, which I thought was interesting. Will we allow ourselves to be informed by love? And another word you could use for love is freedom. Mm-hmm. If you substitute the word freedom for love, it'll give it a whole different energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
bigger.
It's immediately.
Yeah, we have a weird conception of love
Mm-hmm.
on this plane.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it broadens it
Well,
out.
the Course says we think love is is limitation.
Yeah.
And so, but he says, whoever you limit, it's a line in the Course of Miracles where it says, who you limit, you hate. Mm-hmm. And I was like, woo, that's deep, man. Anybody that I try to limit is someone I hate. But that's what I have tried to do in the past to the people that I love more than anybody else. Those were the, it's like, y'all can do whatever you want to do tonight. But the person that I'm in love with better not. So let me get this straight. The person I love, I limit. The people I think I'm not in love with, I free. Now, does that sound kind of backwards to anybody beside me? But that's the way we do it. That's why people are afraid to have you fall in love with them. Or when someone says to you they love you, you go, ooh, hold it. Because immediately there's a bunch of scripts that you think you're going to have to act out and bargains. And so they think they're saying something that's going to bring you comfort, but a lot of times it brings you fear. So then you want to ask the person, well, what's your idea of love? What's your perception of love? What does that mean to you? And then sometimes people don't know, they're letting you know everything you need to know, but they think they're impressing you. Like they'll say stuff like, if you were mine, I would never let you out of my sight. But there was a time when I would have liked that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? It's like, and if it's somebody you think you're in love with, you actually feel like, you really? You know, you're so into me, you wouldn't want to let me out of your sight? See, it's a part of me that's attracted to that kind of specialness. And I had to admit that to myself, you know, so I could go beyond it. And maybe I will one day. With y'all's help, and another 33 years of teaching. I can see myself now in heaven doing my workbook lesson.
You are. You already are.
Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness! I tell you. Anybody else any thoughts or feelings about any ahas? Like you heard a statement and you know it was for you. Yes.
2. I was really glad to hear, you know, that this idea that when you still have all that fear and that self-doubt and like afraid to be vulnerable and all that bullshit, that like that doesn't necessarily mean that you're still stuck on that cycle.
That's right.
You might be moving out of it.
That's right.
Sometimes I feel like it's imprisoning. So I was glad to hear that. And then when you just said now, who you limit, you hate, like the first thing that popped in my mind was that includes yourself. Because like I limit myself so much, like, and it's all out of fear too. So I don't know. That was like an aha moment.
Yeah, that's a biggie. That's a nice epiphany. Yeah. Who I'm limiting me. I feel that. Don't y'all feel that?
Yeah.
Like you know you're not expressing your full potential, and it's like who is it I'm afraid is gonna be hurt if I express myself. Like the Court says, we approach the world. How he put it? He says, we approach life as if there's always something out there trying to get us. That we just almost like we assume it is. Like we just walk out the door assuming there's something I need to defend myself against. Is that that's what creates the attack that we experience? Is that we're actually inviting it by believing there's something there to defend against. Is actually creating it. And I went, wow, that's deep. But that's true. That's true. So I'm trying to I'm trying to realize that it's in my defenselessness that my safety lies, and not walking through life as if everybody's my enemy. And I just assume they're going to do me harm first, and then hope that I get to know them and find out that that's not true. It's like you're already guilty until I prove you innocent. Instead of starting out as you're innocent, and that's the way I'm going to choose to see you until you show me something else. And even then, you're still innocent. But I just need to know where your head is at. Or better yet, where I'm creating your head to be at. Which is really deep to start to realize. Like when you reach that point in your spiritual path where you realize that everyone is actually saying to you exactly what you're ordering, and they're treating you exactly the way you are telepathically telling them to treat you, that's a big turning point. It's because you will then forgive everybody. Because you can't possibly hold a grievance against somebody for doing something that you are making them do. So there's nobody to forgive at that point because nobody's done anything to you. You know, if I ask you to smack me, what do I have to forgive you for? I was the one that told you to do it. He says that when you hate yourself, you think it's insane for you to beat yourself up, even though you hate yourself. So what he says is that so then you see your pain and attack coming through others, because it's just too much even for you to think you would be doing it directly to yourself. So then you get relationships to do it through. So once I decide I don't deserve to suffer anymore, then I won't attract people who hurt me or attack me, because they're only following my orders.
Well, they may still attack you, but you'd be a little more immune to it, you think? Or,
well,
or
the promise is that
the
promise is that the attack will actually end. The whole perception of attack will be gone.
Just the perception.
Well, the actual experience too.
Oh.
Yeah, the ultimate thing that we're shooting for is a state of total safety. That's what love is. There's no pain, attack, hurt, or harm in love at all. So this world that we're looking at is a reflection of our belief system. So it serves the reason that as we clear up our misperception of ourselves and the guilt, that the world will begin to reflect more and more love back to us. And that's actually how you'll know you're changing your mind without fooling yourself. If you're actually beginning to see yourself in a more loving world after the initial stages. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, after the initial stages, when you're still at that point that you still have a part of you that still has a grip on the old ways still, then you'll begin to more and more, of course, and both of these books say, get the witness to the beneficial effects of your change of mind. But in the beginning is when the situation, he says, is the most precarious, because you still are kind of like straddling two worlds, or still sometimes seeing your own after image of the way you used to be. And how do you know it's the way you used to be and not the way that you are? Because your purpose is different now. That's how you know. You want different things for yourself than you did when you truly didn't love yourself. You even begin to love yourself so much, you think you can even deserve a world that's all loving when it comes to you. That's why we're studying. If we didn't think we deserved to be in a really cool world, we wouldn't be coming together. So there's a part of us that he says he says you always want to be what you already think you are. And I thought that was great. That whatever you want to be is what you already think you are, or you wouldn't want to be it. You wouldn't even think it was possible. So the truth is, you already think you are loving. That's why you're trying so hard to experience it. That's good to hear, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. That's how you know it's the truth. Because when it's the truth, it makes you feel safer, more loved, more peaceful. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm not feeling those things, I've gotten to the point that that's my clue. I'm not seeing something correctly. Because if I was seeing correctly, I'd feel peaceful. I'd feel, joyful. So I have to be willing to say in the beginning, I'm wrong a whole lot. I have to be willing to say, well, I'm not seeing stuff correctly. I'm not seeing stuff correctly in the beginning. I have to never associate my pain with seeing things correctly. And so in the beginning, you got to keep telling yourself, if I'm upset, there must be something about this that needs to be seen differently. I must not be seeing something about this person or this situation correctly, because I feel fear and I feel upset. And so that's when I said, so I hope I'm wrong and I want another way to look at it. And then you'll get one. That's the other thing. If you take that moment to do that, something will come through. You'll remember and hear some kind of truth if you just take that pause. Because you are love. That's who you are. You don't have to try to get it, make it. You are it. And we just want to get rid of what keeps us from knowing it. So could we acknowledge us tonight for hearing this much? My word. Whoa. That was great. So let's do the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you so much for sharing with me, and thank you on the internet for sharing with me. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, Earl Purdy, earlpurdy.com, and you can do it right from my website. I'm available for clarity sessions to help you remove every block to your happiness on every level. And I also use astrology and numerology for people who are interested and open-minded to that, and the Way of Mastery and the Course in Miracles and everything that I've learned. So I'm available for those. Go to my website and it explains it in detail, and we can do that together too. Started a radio show that's on 1-2 Radio. It's every Monday at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If you go to my website, if you're on my mailing list, it also has the instructions about how to hear it. You can hear it over the internet, and they also replay it. They archive it so you can listen to it anytime you want to also. And that's been really powerful. It's been great. Spirit's been, this year is already only 14 days old, and I've been amazed at how many opportunities that have shown up since my birthday. It's just been amazing. To the point that I'm almost in overwhelm right now, to be absolutely honest with you. It's like I got so many decisions to make right now that could affect my future in a very powerful way. So the moments like this, I can tell you how helpful they are to me, and hopefully they're just as helpful to you. You know. So before we head out to the lab, you know, where we get a chance to practice this stuff, okay, think of one thought that you want to take away from tonight. You don't have to say it out loud, but it's going to be your theme for the rest of the week. Like my theme when I came in, when I said I was going to pretend that everything I just heard was true, and I was going to live like it's all true. And I'm just curious to see what that's going to, I kind of get chills just thinking about it. And those of you who'd like to do the same thing, please feel free to share that idea with me. You know, because I know it'll change everything. So let's just end up, since we got 5 minutes, let's just end up with the prayer that it was giving us. And kind of let your mind go anywhere you want it to go. So it isn't even necessary that you focus in on me. It's just a time for us to be together and to feel each other. Please sign the mailing list, the contact list over here, so that I can let you know what's going on and you can get links to the classes. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it in a way that will give you time enough to say it silently, if you'd like, to yourself. I am God's. I belong not to the world. I and my Creator are one. Since I still find myself in this world, how can I dedicate this body and its attendant personality and emotions to the voice for love? How can I dedicate this body and its attendant personality and emotions to the voice for love? And that becomes your sole purpose. Your sole purpose becomes the willingness. My purpose is to increase my willingness to allow love to inform each moment. I am willing to allow love to inform each moment. I am willing to allow love to inform each moment. I am willing to allow love to inform each moment. I am willing to allow love to inform each moment. I am willing to inform. I am willing to allow love to inform each moment. You are willing to allow love to inform each moment. Thank you, mighty companions. Y'all are awesome. I'm giving it up to us. Woo! Don't forget, we are the sacred scale tippers. And we right on the verge of tipping that scale. I can feel it. I can feel it. Hugs are available, and the doors of the church are open. Just